What's up, everybody? This is our college basketball big game breakdown for Super Tuesday, March 3rd. My name is Logan. With me in the studio, Nick Von Brick.
Yo!
We have officially made it to the month of March. The madness is right around the corner. We've got conference tournaments kicking off on Tuesday. The lower level ones, the bigger ones will follow next week. And then we have the greatest tournament our country has to offer nearly here. I'm feeling good. We had a 2-2 Saturday combined. We both got home on Arizona. -9, I think is what it was when we gave it out. I think I had 8, to be honest, but not important. We gave out the 9 at the time of recording. That game, I was texting you about it a little bit throughout. Arizona jumped them, and then Kansas responded as expected, but they responded a little more than I would have liked. I was getting pretty frustrated with the way Arizona was playing, and then they flipped the switch there at the end and just really ran them out the gym. It was fun to watch. That's a team when they're clicking, and if they could have just one more shooter from the outside, they'd be a runaway. I started my day. I went 2-1. I do this every week. You'd think I'd figure it out, but I went 2-1. I had UConn -13.5. My God. So I was on the fence because I like to try to find an 11 o'clock game if I can. And I was considering UConn or Houston. And I went with UConn. And I went against my better judgment, I guess, with the spot. Like I said, fresh off a big win and a dominant win over St. John's. But I felt like defensively, the way they played, that they would be able to really clamp down on Seton Hall, who struggles to score. Seton Hall had their best shooting performance from beyond the arc probably all season. So that was unfortunate. But then Houston ran whoever they played out of the gym. I think it was Colorado. Blew them out of the water. I was kicking myself big time for that. So, and it was apparent right away UConn was not going to cover that game. So that was a bad play. But like I said, we got to the window with Arizona -9, and we got to the window with Arkansas, Florida over 167.5. I told you I've had a lot of success betting overs this year. Just bet Florida overs. They play so fast. It is unbelievable. And Arkansas, honestly, did not play a good game. Acuff really struggled against the physicality of the bigs for Florida. Anytime he would get into the lane, they were beating him up. And it still was no sweat. I think they scored 188 points in this game. It helps when Florida scores 111 by themselves. That's a team, another team kind of just flying under the radar because they started this season so poorly. No one wants to see Florida, dude. Their bigs are insane. Like I said, you also got to the window with Arizona -9. You said you would kick yourself for taking LSU. You were kicking yourself for taking LSU.
Yeah, if you bet $100 against LSU every game this year, you got to be damn near up $1 million.
We stink. It's not good. It really. They kind of hung in there for 2/3 of that game, and then all of a sudden it just got out of hand there at the end.
Well, it became clear that even when it was like, a 6, 7, 8 point game, that they still had no chance.
Yeah, but yes, but Pack kept hitting some timely shots. At least whenever I was keeping tabs on it. But LSU's defense is just
they can't get a stop. So it's
horrible.
And we knew it. We knew it was going to be the case, but they foul so much too. It's like
no, it's not working with McMahon. It just is what it is. The offense is not that bad. The offense has the capabilities of scoring the ball, but we just can't stop anybody, and we don't shoot it well from the outside. So, as it currently sits, I am 30-20 on the season, and we're on a 25-9 run over the last 3 weeks. So it was a tough start, which is very on brand for how college basketball goes for me, fresh off of football, but we went on a good run there, and I would say we're still in the midst of that good run, although this is a kind of a funky Tuesday board. So it was a little more difficult for me to get to the window, or at least to get to a consensus on some of these teams that we're going to try to get to the window with. You have 2 plays?
Yeah.
I have 2 plays. I'll lead it off, I suppose. Actually, both of mine are at 8. Do you have anything at 6?
Yeah, I have 5:30.
5:30. Okay, I'll let you.
Yeah, I'm going to Alabama at Georgia. Georgia's a 1.5 favorite at home. The point total really high, 178.5. Since being embarrassed by Florida, Alabama's won 8 games in a row. Stylistically, you have 2 of the fastest offenses in the country, the number 1 and number 6 ranked scoring offenses nationally. Alabama shoots the most threes out of anybody. The question is Alabama as good as their 8-game win streak? I'm not totally convinced here. This is just as much of a bet against Alabama as it is for Georgia. I think Georgia's one of the few teams that in the SEC that can hang and run with Alabama here. So we're going to lay the 1.5 on the road with Georgia.
Interesting. I leaned that way. I'll stay off of it again, but I did. If I took it, it would be because I really want something to start the day. I hate waiting around, but all right. For my first one, we're going to go to Oregon on the road taking on Illinois. Illinois is off back-to-back losses. They've also lost 4 out of their last 6, a couple coming in overtime against some quality teams. I think, Wisconsin, Michigan State, came down to the wire against UCLA on the road and a buzzer-beater loss. Oregon picked up a solid win against Wisconsin, but followed it up with a 63-62 loss at Northwestern. Everything for Oregon relies on Nate Biddle and Kwame Evans, the bigs down low. Shellstad was the returning guard from previous years. He got hurt early in the season. They struggle at the guard position. They don't shoot it very well from the outside. They rely heavily on Biddle and Evans. And Biddle, if you remember, he's a quality player down low. He was really good the last couple years. Now it's just he's got no supporting cast around him. I think it's going to be a tough night for him. Illinois is the biggest team in the country. As we mentioned, we were on Illinois against Michigan. I thought that was the right spot. It wasn't. Michigan's a different animal, though. This is an Illinois team off of a tough shooting night against an elite Michigan defense. This is a team that has plenty of shooters at all different positions. I think Illinois is going to have a big advantage on the glass. They're number 7 in offensive rebounding, whereas Oregon's number 86th. They're number 21 in defensive rebounding, where Oregon is number 244. That's the key number here. Oregon really struggles to secure the defensive boards, which means a lot of second-chance opportunities for Illinois. A good shooting team off of a bad shooting night. Second-chance looks are the best time when you can hit a 3. I think that Illinois gets right here. I'm going to lay 18 points with a team that I think is still in that upper tier of teams in the country. They played a gauntlet of teams and then a couple bad spots going out west. Oregon's got the number. They're 177th in perimeter defense. I think we see a bounce back from Illinois in terms of shooting the ball from beyond the arc. I think Illinois runs away with this one. I'll lay 18 points with the Illini. Where are you going with your second one?
I'm going to go to San Diego State at Boise State. Boise State's 1-point favorite at home. The point total is 144.5. It's a rematch from January 3rd. San Diego State won the game 110-107 in triple overtime. It was a tale of two halves to start the game. San Diego State was up 50-29 at halftime. Boise State rallied and pushed the game to 3 overtimes. San Diego State has the number 1 defense in the Mountain West. They force turnovers and defend the basket well. The free throw line, like the first game, is probably what's going to keep this game close and keep Boise State in it. I just question if Boise State's defense is good enough for them to win this game. So we'll take San Diego State +1 on the road.
Okay. My second and final play for Super Tuesday, Vanderbilt going on the road to take on Ole Miss. Vanderbilt's lost 3 out of their last 4. One was a 1-point loss at Mizzou. The other was a 4-point loss to Tennessee, and then they lost on the road at Rupp Arena taking on Kentucky. Tough place to go play. Duke Miles has been back from injury for the last 3 games now. I think it's a favorable matchup for the Commodores, a team that desperately needs a win. Vanderbilt wants to get out and run, 81st in adjusted tempo, which is not Ole Miss's style. They want to play slow. They don't shoot it well from beyond the arc. A.J. Storr shoots it well, but it's pretty one-dimensional. Ole Miss is number 155 in average height. The best way to attack Vanderbilt, in my opinion, is either you got to run with them or you got to have the size down low. Dia is a quality player, 6'9". I don't think he's got enough around him. He plays the center position more times than not. I don't think Ole Miss is big enough. I don't think Ole Miss shoots the ball well enough, and they don't want to play Vanderbilt's style of run-and-gun offense. I think this is a team that is a significantly better at every level, Vanderbilt, and I think they could really use a win. You've got Keza Giffa, game time decision guard for Ole Miss, 38% from beyond the arc. Not a huge contributor, but he plays 16 minutes per game, so significant enough. I'm going to lay 7 points with Vanderbilt here. I know it's on the road. This is an Ole Miss team that's very inconsistent and just really not that good, in my opinion. So I think Vanderbilt could really use a get-right spot here in a game that, look, if they were coming off of multiple wins and things weren't going as poorly for them as it has been this last little stretch, I'd probably avoid this spot. But I think Vanderbilt, it's a favorable matchup, and they could really use a win. So I will lay 7 points with the Commodores as my second and final play for Tuesday. So to recap, Illinois -18, Vanderbilt -7.
We're going Georgia -1.5 and San Diego State +1.
There you go. That is our best bets for Super Tuesday, March 3rd. Do you have anything to say before we go?
Nope.
Hit the like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Like I said, March is here. We are going to have a lot of college basketball content coming up, a lot of money to be made. It's been a very good run. We got to keep it going. I appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch and listen. Hit the like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Good luck.